Santa! Oh my God!
Father Christmas.
Kris Kringle.
The red and white with the hat.
He's got a big tomato.
Computers announced today that Santa Claus
And
will
while
have
he
access
sees you when
to
you're
special
sleeping,
airspace.
Canadian
There are
military
many names for this infamous white-bearded, red suit-wearing figure. The question to be asked is, where did such an idolised figure come from? Dr. Natasha Val had this to say.
Well, it's a strange fusion, I think, of Christian and pagan traditions, but the idea of this red-clad, bearded elderly gentleman is a clear fusion of Scandinavian or Nordic traditions, which are more folkloric, pre-Christian, and the idea of Christianity in the 18th century wanting to sort of harness the celebrations around Christmas and bring the two together.
Christmas wouldn't be Christmas without Santa. He really is a uniting force amongst all of society. Everybody, it brings a smile to everybody's face.
For me, Santa is a bit of magic. I really think that as a child, in your childhood, I think you should have a bit of magic.
Santa Claus is a massively significant figure idolised by children around the world. However, in a world of mass communication such as the internet, mobile phones and live news shows giving the realisation of what's actually going on in the world, such as famine, war, poverty and worldwide recession, are we teaching our children the right message? We spoke to Mrs. Barterby, a Year 2 teacher at the Education Village in Darlington.
Well, it's been a little bit of a mixture. We've had children thinking about the presents being the most important thing. We had one little boy saying that the birth of Jesus Christ was important, the snow, throwing snowballs, Christmas dinner. We've had a mixture of answers.
Would you say that, compared to 10 years ago, would you say that the religious element has been lost?
No. It's still very much a part of it. The children learn the nativity story in class. We sing Christmas carols in assemblies, and we also visit the church in the final week, which we do every year.
In Austria, there has been a coup to get him out, as he has been slowly replacing their own religious tradition, Christkind. There are various websites and social network accounts set up with thousands of members across the networks. It also made national news.
In Germany, both exists, the Christkind and Santa Claus, and yeah, I think Santa Claus will take over in a while.
Day after days, more grow up, they have more Father Christmases in the street, in the cities, bring the presents, yeah, and decoration in the street with the pictures of Father Christmas.
When Jesus was born, and because it was very religious before, and now, little to little, it's more famous because the children now want more presents.
At the start of our research, it led us down a very dark path, trawling through websites with some very strong opinions about the old guy. These various websites inform us that Santa Claus is really the devil, and that the very name Santa is an anagram of Satan.
The Saint Nicholas figure is meant to be an inspiration of generosity. And there's not a lot of generosity, unfortunately, in people who simply brand this as an incarnation of Satan. How can the giving of gifts and the sharing of love through gifts be branded as something satanic? That's bonkers. But I would say, though, there are aspects of Christmas that border on, I think, oppressive and unhelpful. When I meet people who come from poor families in our parish, saving up for months on end to give a £500 Christmas to a child when they don't have the resources, I think that's cruel. And you could say that's satanic, because I think that's bordering on the manipulation through the media, trying to raise expectations, giving the impression that unless your child has the new Wii or the new this or new the other, then it's not good, it's not going to be a very good Christmas. To me, that's oppressive.
It's estimated that 100,000 people had borrowed £29 million from loan sharks this Christmas. Some of these vulnerable families will probably have to pay back up to 3 times the amount they borrowed. One of the problems for this increased spending at Christmas could be linked to the saying, if you're naughty, you won't get any presents.
If you're really good, you get more presents, but if you're not, you don't get that much.
The better you are, the more presents you get, the more presents you might get.
Yes, we do use Santa Claus as a bargaining tool sometimes, yes.
And do you think there's anything wrong in that?
No, not really. If it encourages good behaviour, whatever you do, needs to work, so yes.
The general culture among parents today is to keep rewarding their children all the time. So you get to the point where a child will not do something unless there's a reward in it for them.
I don't like the phrase bargaining tool, but the Christmas robin is always about keeping an eye on whether they're behaving from about October onwards, so perhaps that answers yes.
I think it's what they've been told by parents. If you're good at Christmas, then Santa will come and he'll bring you things that you want.
Children are very used to these days these kind of rewards that are going on in school. It's, you know, attendance awards, it's gold stars for this, it's stickers for the next thing. And, you know, I, as a psychologist, a lot of the work that I do in schools with children, often the ones that are naughty or that are seeing the psychologist or they're having a kind of individualised behaviour programme, if you like, often based upon behavioural rewards and extrinsic rewards. And then you get the other kids in the class saying things like, well, hang on a minute, he's never good, and then he was good for that little time and he was given a sticker. I never get a sticker. And I think at that level, you know, when the child's there living and breathing it, you know, it does have a different effect, a different impact upon them.
We discuss if there is a place for Jesus and Santa Claus at Christmas with the Reverend David Bryan at St David's Church in Darlington.
I guess you could say, because Christmas is a living thing and it goes on being revisited and reenacted and relived, at some point the Father Christmas stories became part of the cycle and then it develops into more. You could add in King Wenceslas. He's a king who's supposed to be jolly kind at Christmas time, and he becomes an inspirational example. You could add in, I suppose, some of the Victorian philanthropists who made that their time of year to do something. So in other words, it's a living, ongoing, developing, growing, evolving thing. And Santa Claus has his place, in my opinion.
With the country in recession, it's time to get back to the roots of the real meaning of Christmas.
Certainly there's a lot of children who would struggle to even tell the Christmas story now.
I think he will be probably a little worried that the focus had gone away from the birth of Jesus to a focus on him as the central figure of the Christmas story or the Christmas event. In Tokyo, they're very confused about Christmas. You can get Christmas cards where Santa appears on the front of the Christmas greeting on a cross, as if he's been crucified. And that kind of says something about the way that they're confused when looking at a Christian culture and thinking, well, what actually is this festival about?
I do think the real meaning of Christmas has been lost, and I think that that's because the society that we live in today is just so superficial and shallow, and what I would describe as a disposable society. So anything that's of any superficial meaning is used and discarded, but anything that's of a deeper significance is mocked very often. And so people who do have beliefs in God or any form of spirituality about them, they're seen to be different and strange, and those values in society just don't seem to be generally accepted anymore.